Hello, my name is Adam Weir. I'll be talking to you about the Painted Crucifix painting that I chose to do my project on. This painting was painted by Copo di Marcovaldo. So I chose this particular piece of artwork because it was one that really spoke to me when I first saw this in our discussion post. Um, this was probably my favorite painting that we discussed in the discussion post. It really made me think about what Christ went through while on the cross, as well as the events that led up to his crucifixion. So Painted Crucifix, some basic facts on it. Title is Painted Crucifix, as I said. Date is 1260. Artist Copo di Marcovaldo. The size of this painting is 293 by 247 centimeters. Location, it's painted in Florence, Italy. So during this time, people were becoming more religious and was fascinated in capturing scenes from the life of Christ. They were also becoming more emotionally attached to Christ, as opposed to think of him being less human-like. So the artist, Copo di Marcovaldo, I got a little information about him. So, born 1225, he's the first known Florentine artist. He was influenced heavily by the Byzantine art style. He painted several Madonnas as well as some mosaics. All of his paintings were related to the Bible. So on the right-hand side, you see other examples of some of his other works. Like many of his contemporaries, many of his works center around Christ and religious nature. So the Byzantine art style, this particular piece was created during the Byzantine art period. Some traits of this period I have listed below. Less naturalistic and more abstract view of reality. More attention paid towards symbolism. Religious subjects were common. This time period, it really was a period in which people focused more on the emotional side and less on the naturalistic. Art that was created during this time period was created to cause the viewer to feel some type of emotion. I'll explain pretty much what type of emotion this painting that I will be talking about gives. So, slide 5, I have two other examples of art from this time period. Closer look, you can see feeling in the faces of the subjects, as well as notice the colors and how they give off certain emotions. My favorite of these two is probably the one on the right. You see Jesus standing. You can see two individuals kneeling before Jesus, reaching out to grab his hands. And then you have other individuals surrounding them too. I think it's a pretty neat painting and all the different colors they used. So the Painted Crucifix. The medium was wood on tempera paint, and if you didn't know, tempera paint dries very fast. Therefore, the author has to be very intentional with the brush strokes and precise with their painting. I feel like in this painting, pretty much this whole painting, you had to be precise. Usage of the painting, I feel like usage of space was very good. There's really not much room on this painting that the illustrator didn't use for artwork. As well, let's see. I said tempera paint dries fast. Little room for error as well. Let's see. The upper part of the Painted Crucifix. So I feel like in order to analyze this piece of artwork, I feel like you have to look at each individual part because it all tells a story. That's another reason why this is one of my favorites. I feel like it says so much. It symbolizes so much as well. So the upper part is at the top of the cross, as you see. It's a circular shaped frame is of Christ offering a blessing, also known as a blessing of Christ. Directly below that, it's a scene where Christ is ascending into heaven. So the sides of the Painted Crucifix, on either side of Christ's outstretched arms, you'll notice two additional scenes. One is of the mother of Jesus and St. John. Right here, John agrees to take care of her after the passing of Jesus. On the other side of the women who were at the cross when Jesus died. Again, if you could see a closer view of either one of these individuals on each side, you notice the expressions on their faces that would exhibit a feeling of sadness and agony at the loss of Jesus. So the background panels, on the background panels, you'll see 6 separate scenes that illustrate the events that led up to the death of Christ. As I said earlier, using tempera paint, you have to be very careful. It dries fast as well, and you have to be really, really careful with each stroke from the brush. He fit a lot of illustrations within these little boxes. I feel like you can learn more probably from this part of the artwork than anything else on this artwork, and this leads up to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So in the first scene you have the capture of Christ. Second scene is the beating of Christ. In your third scene you have the preparation of the cross. Fourth scene is Christ on trial. And in the bottom left hand corner you have the mocking of Christ. And the sixth scene is the burial of Christ. So the scenes that are created are done in a sequence, and each evoke much feeling and emotion. From the expressions on the faces to the way in which they're standing, or even from the colors of the garments that were chosen. You can see in the paintings, I wish you could zoom in on it, you could see all the individuals like hugging and kind of like crouching down where they're crying almost, like hugging another individual. So the body of Christ. Like I said about the middle of the painting, I feel like this tells a lot of information as well about this painting. So, like I said, this is a slide of body of Jesus. You can notice that his body's sagging and it just looks exhausted. This position leads one to have a feeling of agony and pain for the dying of Christ. A close look at his face reveals the pain and agony as well. I have a close-up of his face down in the bottom left-hand corner so you could see just pretty much what he's been through and what he's gone through. As you can tell that he's in a lot of pain and he's weeping. By this time, after all he's gone through, I feel as if by what he painted here, I feel as if this is showing like this is the end for him. He's kind of giving up almost. So on slide 11, analysis of the Painted Crucifix. Like I said, this was probably my favorite painting. A lot of details in this. Tells a story that I'm highly interested in. So as we look at this piece from the artistic point, you see where the artist veered somewhat from the naturalistic approach in order to capture more emotion. Seeing that the purpose of the crucifix was from emotional attraction, I think the artist was very successful on that part. Just by the face of Jesus, the body language of Jesus, the drawing of the chains around Jesus' waist. I feel like that just shows a lot of pain, sadness, agony, as I said. So even though there's a lot in this one picture, and then, he fit a lot of story in this one piece, the artist was able to bring it all together in one unified piece. It's also very balanced with the colors that were chosen as well as the use of space. As I said earlier, I thought he did a wonderful job of using every bit of space he had to put some type of artwork or some type of story, I would say, because each part of this painting I feel as if it means something and it tells a story. So it would have been quite easy for him to just use a very unbalanced format, as he used a balanced format as a cross, as he used in this. However, the artist was able to overcome. As a result, I think it's a very effective piece of art. I feel like there's less focus on the naturalistic side. However, subjects aren't all the way abstract. I feel as if it's more like a happy medium between the two. The concept of the piece is the death of Christ on the cross. Mark Avado does a great job through displaying emotions throughout the piece. Here are the sources I used. I got some pictures from the history of painters. Then I used another slide as well. I hope you learned something by this. Thank you.